Student protests have a long tradition in this country. So what's so different about this one?
What do these words mean, and what distinction am I trying to draw? I mean,
we're dealing with a battle between true educators and people who have jobs at this university with the goal of indoctrination.
They're taking names.
It's a list of professors that need to be scrutinized, watched. They need to be held accountable for their actions in the classroom.
But is it a watch list or a witch hunt?
If you want faculty to engage in critical, independent inquiry, you've got to protect them from political effects like this.
I think that goes directly against the notion of academic freedom.
Tonight, the list. Grading college professors on political bias.
From ABC News. This is Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Chris Bury.
The very idea of making lists of those with whom you disagree must be tempting. After all, it has a long and checkered history in this country. Hollywood once had its blacklist, an unwritten understanding of those who would be denied work because of their suspected affiliation or sympathy with the communist cause. President Nixon, of course, had his infamous enemies list, and his political opponents had their own scoreboard of so-called war criminals in his cabinet. The National Rifle Association recently put out its own listing of adversaries. Some of them said they were proud to be on it. So there's no wonder the latest incarnation of political watch lists has caused such a stir on college campuses. A number of organizations have recently published websites listing professors who they argue are politically biased in their teaching or research. Whether these lists are promoting tactics of intimidation or simply exercising free speech is, of course, a matter of opinion. One of the most controversial lists has been compiled at the nation's largest public college, the University of Texas, as we hear in this report from ABC News correspondent Mike Von Friend.
All options are evaluated in the light of other relevant options. This is my career advice always. In other words,
University of Texas journalism professor Robert Jensen is an unapologetic liberal who openly expresses his strong views both in and out of the classroom.
Well, actually, my political views are left. Some people would call me a radical.
He hangs posters of Cuban revolutionary leaders in his office and writes controversial editorials in the Texas papers. This one, published in the Houston Chronicle just after September 11th, says U.S. just as guilty of committing its own violent acts.
It led the president of the university to issue a public statement denouncing me, and which he called me foolish.
Jensen says the reprimand did not bother him or affect his behavior. He's a tenured professor, and his job at the public university is protected. Jensen loves to stir things up in the classroom.
I've made all the points I want to make.
But I think what Jensen really wants us to do is to learn to think critically about our role in society and society as a whole.
I think that if a teacher is completely neutral, which I personally don't think is possible, it would make a class boring.
But in the aftermath of September 11th, student Austin Kinghorn felt Professor Jensen crossed the line.
Basically, we walked in, and he had the overhead projector turned on, and on there was a sentence: "What is terrorism?" The question. And Jensen took the next hour and 15 minutes of class to basically make his point 2 days after 9/11 that the American government is a far worse perpetrator of terrorism than the 9/11 hijackers.
Kinghorn, who is chairman of the Young Conservatives of Texas, says he was deeply offended.
I felt like Professor Jensen was manipulating a national tragedy to make a point that he wants to make about his far leftist agenda that seems to blame every problem in the world on American policy.
The Young Conservatives decided to retaliate and make Professor Jensen #1 on a newly created watch list, which they've posted on their website, and it's been published in the local newspaper. It includes 10 professors at the University of Texas that the conservatives accuse of trying to indoctrinate students and using the classrooms to promote their personal agendas.
It's a watch list. It's a list of professors that need to be scrutinized, watched. They need to be held accountable for their actions in the classroom, and they haven't been yet.
Well, I was actually not labeled a liberal, I was labeled a radical.
Associate Professor Edmund Gordon is on the list. accused of overemphasizing white oppression of African Americans. He says his classroom has undergone a dramatic change.
I've never had people who were avowedly young conservatives in my class as students and who announced that they were that from the very beginning. And yes, I feel like they were put there to watch me, and this watch list, or my position on this watch list, is a result of that. So do I feel like I'm under surveillance? I am under surveillance.
I think you're going to having more and more conservative students standing up and creating a new counterculture that doesn't believe that all morals are relative, that, you know, believes in absolute values, that believes in conservative government, and they're going to get louder and louder as they feel more and more oppressed.
In fact, it is a national trend. The number of conservative and Republican groups organizing on the college campus has nearly tripled in the last 4 years. Washington has taken notice. In just the past month, Republican Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia introduced an academic Bill of Rights to protect students from, quote, one-sided liberal propaganda. The House of Representatives passed a bill to monitor whether federally funded centers for international research reflect and respond to the needs of national security. And a group founded by Lynn Cheney, wife of the vice president, that blasted academics' rights after 9/11 for being, quote, the weak link in America's response to the attack, urged a Senate committee to raise public awareness of the problems of liberal bias on campus and to encourage universities to conduct intellectual diversity reviews.
It's a trend which, if it got completely out of hand, could lead us to another McCarthy kind of situation. I certainly hope it doesn't go that far.
Nobody with power is telling me I can't say something. It's only going to become censorship if university administrators who have the power to hire and fire and the power to punish faculty start requiring a kind of ideological conformity for advancement in the profession. If that happens, then higher education is dead.
The young conservatives bristle at the suggestion that their watch list is a form of censorship, but they do intend to put a select group of professors on notice that the classroom is not the place for a one-sided bully pulpit.
I've had liberal professors who are great professors. I'm not afraid of opinions. None of us are. What we're afraid of is students who don't get both sides of the stories and don't have enough information to make informed decisions, which is supposedly what a college degree is all about.
It is the college campus that is supposed to promote intellectual diversity and encourage the free exchange of ideas. The young Republicans say that is exactly what their watch list is all about. But others say it feels more like censorship and the start of a campus culture war. This is Mike Von Frem for Nightline in Dallas.
So does the ranking of professors and the way they think represent a national trend? The view from some other campuses when we come back.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by IBM.